Welcome to the Event Life Podcast, where we dive into the live event scene and have conversations with the people who make them happen. I'm your host, Esteban Quadros, and I'm joined by the ever-insightful co-host, Jessica Barrett, and we're excited to share the conversation with you. Enjoy.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us. I just want to introduce you real quick, Behnad Taheri, who is I'm so paranoid. I'll never be able to do a good introduction ever. It's just never going to happen. So when I asked you how to introduce you, said human being. So yes, you are a human being. I would say you're also a cornerstone of the Minneapolis nightlife. You're the owner-operator of a lot of different locations throughout the years, including The Lounge, Fahrenheit, Envy, Tangiers, which is where we met, and then opening soon, or potentially already open by the time this airs, Ava, which is opening in the North Loop.
Correct.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring you on in part just because I think that obviously, like, we're talking about the behind the scenes of event stuff, and you do an extension of that in more of the nightlife side of things. And just to talk about, like, how you got into that. Like, tell us how you started.
I started in the nightlife industry was as a side gig. I was in college and I wanted to make money, put in a minimum amount of effort and make the maximum amount of money. So I thought I wanted to be a bartender, but I didn't know how to bartend. So I took the hard way in there and I started being a barback and doing glass running and barbacking. So I did that through college, and towards my end of my college, I was bartending already, and I had moved behind a bar, and one thing led to another, and the owner of the bar asked me if I wanted to take a leave of absence from school, run his bar for about a year, and see if I like it. Mm-hmm. And cut to, I'm 50 years old, and I'm doing it still. So
you liked it, okay?
I loved it. I was 24 at the time. There was money, women, and nightlife. It was all exciting to me. I was just like, it was just an honor being nominated.
I love it.
It was great.
I mean, 24 years old running a bar.
Yeah, I mean,
it was a nightclub or a bar?
It was a nightclub bar. It was like a lounge, literally.
Yeah.
That was The Lounge, or
the Lounge.
Oh, okay, so
that was it opened in '96. Mm-hmm. I was there until 2001, and then Mr. Nath bought what was Club Ashley at a time, looking to change it into a more upbeat nightclubby thing, and we changed it into Fahrenheit, and I was with Nath Companies for about 10 years and did a couple of venues with them. Got to have a lot of fun.
Cool. What was the first one that you opened or were owner-operator of?
Tangiers was the first one, yeah.
So for backstory, the way that we met was in the alley behind Aria, because our alleys, like our back doors, like were right across the alley from each other. And
I used to be scared of you for a long time.
No, what?
Everybody has that same story.
You had such a attitude about you. When I first met her, I was like, oh, like
you just carried yourself very.
I'm a little scared.
Feminine strength, or I don't know what you call it, even, but you didn't really take shit.
Well, yeah, I don't take shit.
And that was true. The thing. Like, I would say, remember the couple stories I told about, like, when you come to my show, and I'd be like, oh my God, it's Jessica. You know, so it's like, you had this, like, thing about you, I guess.
Bit, once you get to know me and you find out that I'm just, like, the biggest pushover in the world.
I think that's most people.
Yeah, that was my experience as well. I mean, like, we ended up hitting it off, and it was lovely being your neighbor. From anything, from being hospitable and helping out. Like, I remember multiple times running there going, oh, you have this, or can you help me, or do you have change, or whatever.
Oh yeah, well, we used to exchange a lot of change in the back alley. Yeah. Like, I don't have any ones, we need some ones tonight, and like it went both ways. You also were super helpful.
But it was but in the beginning, I was like a little scared.
That's so funny. You're like this like nightclub guy. I'm not a scary person at all, but I get it. I hear that a lot. Actually, literally, I had somebody write that in my high school yearbook. They were like, "I thought you were really scary till I got to know you." So clearly, it's been happening for a long time. Something about my face or something.
And there's something about strong women. Like I personally, like I'm as a male growing up in a dog eat dog kind of males like environment, you're more accustomed to deal with like men that scare you because you can meet that energy. But when it comes to strong women, they intimidated the hell out of me.
No one taught us how to react to that.
Yeah. They're on a different frequency than men are, and then that's to me is like, because if I wanted to, like, it's just scary.
It's just like a different. You can't have the same level of bravado. I mean, it's interesting actually. This is not where I thought we were going to talk about it, but it is really interesting to think about because. Sometimes it works to my favor, or sometimes it works to my detriment. Like I don't take any shit. Like I never have. You can ask people since I was like a child, basically. But
you have to be smart enough to know that you don't have to take shit.
Yeah. But I never out here. I take no shit but do no harm. Right? I'm not out here to like fuck anybody's day up. I'm not out here to like be mean to people or like unnecessarily like rude ever. But I just don't take people's shit, right? And so
I love this conversation.
I know. But I have like a little bit, I'm fully will admit I have a chip on my shoulder a little bit about men in the business world because they often come at me with a certain level of like pat me on the head sort of attitude, you know? And so I think I probably maybe come across even more so to men in that way when I first initially meet them because I'm a little guarded about stuff.
Sure.
Because I have been treated poorly over the years at times in a business sense. So I do have a little chip on my shoulder, and I can get pretty intense about it.
Well, rightfully so, and I can understand that. Yeah. But it was like we got past it.
Yeah, I mean, very quickly. And that's the thing. It's like it doesn't take a lot for people to realize that I'm actually like, I'm a Cancer. And so it very much like, I'm very like hard shell on the outside, but, you know, not so much on the inside. So,
sure.
Yeah. But yeah, we used to meet in the back alley just like randomly because you had a parking spot back there and I would often be back there smoking because back in the day when I smoked quite a bit and was always back there stress smoking.
Do you still smoke?
No, I quit like over a year ago.
Good for you.
Yeah, finally.
Good for you. You've been quitting forever. So.
I know.
Since I've known you.
I think I quit like 17 times a year probably back then. I was always trying. I always said like by 40 I had to quit, right? Because I read somewhere or some nonsense thing about how like after 40 your lungs cannot like recuperate the same way. So I think I ended up, it was like really like 41 when I finally did, but I did quit.
Good for you.
I'm 9 years off.
9 years off? Are you a smoker?
I don't smoke cigarettes.
Not cigarettes.
Cigarettes. I quit smoking cigarettes. I used to smoke a pack a day. Back in the day when you used to bartend and you could have an ashtray on the corner of your bar, smoke a pack and have people blow a pack in your face on second hand. But I quit around 30 something. But you know what? I started smoking weed more. Right. So it's like,
I mean,
same these.
I can't smoke weed, and I feel like I do have to tell this story because this is like literally the last time I smoked weed was in the basement of Tangiers. It's the last time I ever did because I learned I had always known that like it just doesn't like really. I can take edibles. I can drink THC.
I feel like we gotta smoke you up now.
No, you don't want that.
I feel like it has to happen.
I think that would be good for the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After I've already had like 3 cocktails.
It's like a control experiment.
Yeah, you guys are gonna see. It's okay. So this is how I remember that night going. It was the night that I gave my notice that I was quitting Aria, and I was like stressed but relieved. I felt like a lot of emotions about it, and I think it was you or someone on your team was like, you need to come over and celebrate and have some drinks. And then we went in the basement, we were hanging out, people were smoking. And I was like, I'm going to smoke. I can smoke. But I had known for a while that smoking gives me panic attacks. Like, makes me paranoid. Doesn't matter what type, doesn't matter what like strain.
Is this the story you told about? You're like, I'm inside, but I'm outside.
Yes.
Did I feel like I'm inside? Yeah. Well, you told a little bit. I don't know.
I had a full-on fucking panic attack. full on. So I was sitting, I remember very distinctly, I was sitting next to Ali.
Yep.
And I was showing him photos on my phone because I had just come back from like New Zealand or somewhere. No, it wasn't New Zealand. I just come back from a trip somewhere. And I can't remember where it was, but I just been on a big long, Chile. I just been in Chile, and I was showing him pictures on it, and all of a sudden it hit me in this wave, and I was like, fuck. And I was just like, I just like kind of remember like lowering down the phone and being like, I'm getting a phone call, and like putting it to my ear and running out of the building, thinking that I was being very sly, which then later everyone was like, no, we knew exactly what was happening. We all knew that you were like freaking out. And I went outside and I was calling a friend or texting a friend of mine who is like a regular weed smoker. And I was like, dude, I'm freaking out. I'm having a panic attack. And he's like, calm down. Like, what's wrong? And I kept saying, I'm having an inside panic attack. He goes, what does that mean? And I'm like, it's inside me. And also I was inside the building and I needed to get out. And like he talked me down from this ledge. And then I think I had to take an Uber home because I was fucked up.
I think I remember you running out of there. I don't think there was any secrets that you were freaking out. You did not look like you were happy.
I thought I was being very, very discreet with my like, I'm getting a phone call in the basement where there probably was zero phone reception at all.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, so that's the last time.
But you can handle it differently when you eat it?
Yeah, it doesn't like.
See, that's what's funny for me is like smoking is, you know what to expect. When you eat it though, it's like a little bit,
I'm
like it can hit you way harder. Like it fucks me up. It actually, when I eat it, it fucks with my eyes really bad.
Oh, interesting.
So,
yeah, me too. I can't eat it either because you can't dose like what you're eating.
Yeah,
I'm a marijuana enthusiast, so like I can't eat a 5 milligram gummy or something. I need like a 25 to a 50 milligram gummy, and when I eat that, I don't know when it's gonna kick in, how it's gonna kick in, depending on how much I've eaten that day, and
I think it doesn't when I eat it or when I drink it. It's like this, for me, there's something about it that it just like is a slower, like it doesn't hit me as hard as fast and it just sort of like creeps up on me. And like, I remember the first time that I took an edible, and this is like when they were like homemade, it was like somebody's homemade brownies or whatever. So it's like, you also don't know what you're going to get, right? Because you don't know how distributed it is in there. Yeah. And I was texting Castina actually, and I was like, I took a quarter of it or whatever of this piece, and I was like, I don't think I'm high. And then like an hour later, I was like, do you think I should take another one? And she's like, yeah, you could take another quarter. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, I still don't think I'm high. And then all of a sudden, I wrote her back, and I was like, oh, actually, I just realized I'm watching like Planet Earth, and I don't even know what channel this is, and I don't know how I found it, so I think I must be high. Like I was just like watching Planet Earth, like, huh. Yeah.
It's visually stimulating.
Yeah. And then I was like, yeah, I think I'm high.
Until like a shark eats a seal or something, and then you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm inside. I'm having a panic attack.
Yeah.
I'm inside.
But we're outside.
Do you, like in your ventures with like restaurants and clubs, do you now, because it's becoming more, accepted and legal, do you have any of that? Click. Are you like with products in the bars or anything like that? Are you gearing up towards some of that?
The insurance liability for them are different a little bit, and I just I haven't 100% embraced it as far as a bar is concerned.
You said you haven't?
I have not.
Okay,
but we are we're talking about doing it at Ava, and that's the plan.
Yep.
But yeah, I haven't, but I feel marijuana use is very synonymous with the nightlife industry. Like
100%.
Back when it was illegal, if I traveled, if I wanted to score in another city, I would go to a restaurant and I would find a busboy or somebody that looked, I would profile someone incredibly.
The serving industry, it's readily available. Somebody's got it in their car.
If they're working at a restaurant
1 degree of
serving,
separation.
it's not profiling.
In the restaurant industry, or like if somebody doesn't smoke, they know, like if a bartender is like, I don't smoke, but give me 1 second.
Right.
They're within one person of somebody that smokes.
I love that.
We're
That's
all
awesome.
in a way artists.
Exactly.
We don't fit in the norm society.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, anyways, I can't smoke it, but I do love a THC beverage. And I feel like right now for venues, for bars and stuff, everything's so unclear.
It is.
And that's like, the ambiguity is scary.
Well, and quality of product. My issue with it is we have everybody and their mother getting into the weed business, and everybody is extracting THC. If you do the research on what they do to extract it, is quite toxic, for lack of a better word.
Because when you're extracting it, you need something that makes it soluble. So you need like a chemical, or you need some sort of like THC is fat soluble, so you can use butter. That's why people bake with it, because you can use it with butter. You can use oils. You can use alcohol, but you can also use like benzene, like different fuel, like fuel, different chemically fuel type things.
That's why I use that term, and that's the problem. Is we have the marijuana legalization per state has moved a lot faster than our ability to regulate how it's extracted, how it's made. So a lot of the products that are out there are not regulated by anyone or anywhere. And you don't know how people are extracting it, what they're doing with it. And you know, products like that are things I try to stay away from. I mean, eventually I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Sure.
But right now it's just it's just a zygote.
Well, and it's interesting, that perspective too, because for the longest time it's been illegal, so we had to do it underground.
Yeah.
We had to do it where it was like a makeshift operation. But it's interesting to hear that, like, because it's booming so fast that it's still kind of an issue. Like that it's like mom and pop shop who
catching up,
they don't maybe know like the best way to do it. And are you cooking off enough of that fuel where you're not ingesting it then? Because that's a huge thing. I mean, that's...
Or they don't think about the implications of how people ingesting those things is going to hurt them, or they don't care some places, I imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's big business and you're making big money, like, you know, save a little money.
When has capitalism ever given a shit about people?
When has capitalism ever made us healthier?
Yeah, it never has. It's just it's an opportunity of a cash grab, and often the human condition is the collateral damage of that. So I feel like marijuana is the thing. I kind of liked it better when it was underground, and you had to it was cooler a little bit. It was a jazz.
I say it all the time. I used to do it when it was cool.
Yeah.
I still dabble here and there, but I'm
like
not.
This guy. We're gonna have to smoke together.
I know.
I
think we might. All this talk, fuck it. Are we doing it or what are we doing?
I'm down. I'm good. Not going anywhere.
I don't know the studio rules here. Alex, can we do this?
You got the green light.
It's already in here and already made it smell in here. But where are you gonna ask this at?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not a kid-friendly podcast.
Ashtray.
Yeah. There you go. Here, put a little water in it. Professionals right here.
Yeah, well done.
So when I lose my job on Tuesday, I'm going to start working in the restaurant industry. This new place called Ava.
Come on over. We'll happily take you.
You guys will be besties over there. Oh, that's so funny. I already embarrassed myself in
It's
front
the
of
first
Ben.
time I ever smoked it here. So, we were talking about it kind of pre-show, so I brought that out. Little treat.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, and it's what's nice is to be able to. Here's the one nice thing about it being legal. It's the being able to talk about it openly. Whereas like you had to know like, oh, Johnny's not cool. We can't fucking talk about this around him.
He's a narc.
Yeah. So it's cool to be able to talk about it, but it's also so much more accepted than it used to be. So like people don't really give a shit anymore, which is funny because you're here. I can see you're like trying not to breathe it in.
It's not. I'm not doing that.
I try to blow it away, but the fans look
right
back at you.
It's the double-edged sword of this like Beyonce fan that I've got blowing right on me, but it's okay. I'll get a little secondhand.
I feel like we got to cue some Snoop Dogg music for a quick second.
Yeah.
It's funny because my niece and her friend that live with me, I'm like, you cannot smoke in the house. Like that is not allowed because.
But it doesn't linger like cigarettes does. It kind of like.
It depends on this one. I feel like would linger a little bit.
Oh no,
but
it's like just a little bit of a sticky icky.
Yeah, but I also just like I never, even when I was a smoker, I never smoked in my house. I don't care what the weather was like outside. I don't care if it was raining, snowing.
Cigarettes?
Never.
Oh my god, I used to sit next to my bed, sat in an ashtray with hundreds of thousands of cigarette butts in it, where you could, and I would sit there, and I would sit in the dark, and I would listen in silence
to Leonard Cohen and just
to
like
the crickling of the sound of the tobacco.
You're gonna make me want one.
It's so
those hard
romantic.
drags.
It is. Yeah, that sound. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking funny. I feel like Rogan right now, just ripping on screen.
That's but you are, as you mentioned, you're the Joe Rogan.
I'm the Joe Rogan of the event industry now, guys. It's
Will an episode ever go by without you bring up Joe Rogan? Just so like
I don't ever bring up Joe Rogan.
Hey, I at the risk of getting canceled, I really like him. I listen to his podcast.
Lots of people do.
See, here's the thing, and I'm gonna chime at you.
Me?
Most people don't watch Rogan to watch Rogan. It's the people he has on.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're focused on Rogan, you're focused on the
I'm
wrong
not focused
thing.
on Rogan. I'm focused on the people that he platforms.
Yeah?
But he platforms everyone.
That's
he does.
the thing, yeah.
He does. And I don't
think it's part of freedom of speech to give platform to everyone.
I'm not out here to cancel Joe Rogan. I just don't fucking like him. That's it. Like I
didn't know you didn't like him.
No, I don't like him. But it's fine. I don't have a problem with him existing. It's just funny because now it keeps coming up and it like I then sound like I'm like this naggy like female voice in here, but I just like I don't appreciate some of the stuff he says or like that he sometimes I think knowingly platforms some misinformation, but other people would disagree with me and that's okay. I don't think that's
the problem with modern day society in America right now is your misinformation is another person's information. Exactly. Everything is no longer objective. Everything is subjective.
And I mean, in some ways it always has been. It's just that we haven't had as much access to information as we have in the past and as much access to other people's opinions because most people live in a very tight bubble.
You guys want in on that?
So, I mean...
Yes, Patrick, go ahead.
It'd be a lot cooler if you
our audio is about to get real good.
I'm gonna throw some reverb on there.
Yeah. I'm about to get auto-tuned.
That's funny.
Can't wait. No, we can move on from that. I don't have a problem with Joe Rogan. I'm not out here.
I'm not trying to call you out either. I think it's funny. I don't watch him for him. I watch because of the different platforms, and I think the topics though that I get engulfed in, I think I'm really into like I'm kind of into like aliens and
all good.
And I'm into. I wouldn't say like theology.
You guys have one button. We're like, okay, we're gonna talk about aliens now. Let's go.
I tell you what, I if you don't believe that they exist,
I do.
I really question your common sense.
Yeah, I mean,
because
what is that? There's like that hypothesis of like in this infinite universe and all these infinite planets and infinite stars and like everywhere, like that we could be potentially the only ones that exist is.
I'll quote the movie Contact. If we're the only ones that exist, it certainly is a big waste of space.
Yeah,
yep.
Exactly.
Yep. Just to jump on that, because you're talking about Joe Rogan, Neil deGrasse Tyson did hop on. He's hopped on so many times, let's be real. But I think one of the theories that he was talking about was the fact that there's like some sort of, not fabric, but there's like, it's some sort of thought process that if we are not the only ones here, it's because of the fact that whoever is out there is a higher intellectual being and we're not even at the bar that they're at. And if we do happen to become getting close to it, we would be wiped out before they even let us get to there, because there can't be two apex type of not societies, but
we've had multiple. I think we have had multiple resets. Yes. I think the idea of like the Great Flood existed for 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 years. And prior to that, there's like actual significant evidence these days to the fact that like the Sphinx is older than it is. And during the last ice ages, like there were civilizations around, and we're getting way off topic, Jessica. But the truth is like the one thing that I know about as a human being is that we don't know a lot.
Yeah,
we are
can agree
like
on that.
like
for
like
sure.
a 1
Yeah, we don't
year
even know how they made the pyramids and all that shit.
So
yet.
we just that's
And
all
then
I
there was
know.
another researcher that said, if you take a cup, you scoop a cup of water out of the ocean, that's how much we know about our universe.
No, the water is equally vast as the space or whatever it is. Yeah.
No, the person was just saying like okay, no, here's what they asked.
A molecule like in the water.
No. They said if you scoop a cup of water into the ocean and you pull out and there's nothing in there, would you then say that there's nothing in the ocean? Like it's just not enough information to come back and say that there's nothing that exists. There's just not enough information out there.
Right. And I think there's arguments to be said that like I've heard arguments that if there are other like higher knowledge like that we're not at a level where like they want to see if we destroy ourselves first before they invest any time and energy into it.
That's the exact thing I was trying to
I
say.
figured that's where
maybe they're farming us.
Yeah, they could be farming us.
Maybe we were
this
just
is all
like
a fucking simulation.
Yeah,
guys.
maybe
What was the recent guy he had on? Billy Carson? Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
He talks about how they branded us like genetically. So like, you know how you have Asian people, you have white people, you have black people, and in betweens, right? So
Thanks.
that was the that was thanks, Alex. But like that was part of their branding. They genetically altered us to be in their image. This is where that like God talk shit comes in, where it's like, you know, they branded us in their images. But check out Billy Carson. I'm gonna leave it at that because he talks some really deep stuff and has like a lot of. And I'm like the least religious person you'll probably meet, but I think some of the shit he says makes a lot of sense, and it makes you think. And that's the stuff I would say that's why I watch some of that stuff, is because it actually triggers my brain in a way where I'm like I'm actually hearing a different outlook and some different things that I don't agree with all of it, but like it opens up my mind a little bit more where I'm like, shit.
I think that there's some people who listen to those kind of things who it opens their mind to a larger world, and then there's also a track of that leads to a smaller, more closed off world, and it can be a slippery slope into, and some of it is just algorithm based, into some toxic masculinity stuff, and you get into Jordan Peterson and you get into some other stuff that like, that's what I think is my biggest issue with, is that slippery slope that it can lead people into. But I don't give a shit about Joe Rogan for sure. So end of the day, I don't care enough to care.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Jordan Peterson makes me want to impersonate him. Just the way he speaks.
Yeah, and then the next thing you know, you're talking about Andrew Tate or some bullshit. You know, like it's just, some of that is a gateway to some of those worlds, and I can't really fuck with that.
Jessica's trying to get everybody canceled.
Yeah, that's my goal. Fuck.
Well, they have very polarizing opinions and outlooks generally, and I think that's why they get the views. So it's partially that.
I think all the views are. If you're not polarizing today, I don't think you catch people's attention. So, like, I mean,
we're about to go viral with this one.
Yeah, right. America used to be like, "Hey, you blue, I'm red." We didn't even give a shit. And if I wouldn't ask you who you're going to vote for. You didn't ask me who I voted for. You mowed my lawn, I shoveled your snow, and it was just I feel like prior to social media, it was just a different vibe. And now it's like there's money in anger and fear. Mm-hmm. And anger and fear is what drives our economy. So from our government to the companies that own our government, they use anger and fear to segregate us, because people constantly in fear of the other side, people segregated and not talking to the other side, are easily manipulated into buying more stuff, anxiety buying, shopping. From every direction. Like, think about it. We eat worse food, more contaminated food. drink more contaminated water.
Drink more alcohol.
That whole
Drink more alcohol.
the microplastics thing.
I mean,
all of it. Yeah, fluoride even. Shit.
Listen,
Like,
let's keep drinking alcohol.
no, there's
what I say.
there's a lot to talk about on fluoride. I'm not gonna get into it, but yeah, it's different new studies and shit.
See, we shouldn't have smoked now.
I know,
We're totally,
you're
Jessica's like, let me reel these two back in.
Bring it back.
No, yeah, we're
You know
back,
how you
we're
can
back.
fix me? May I have some whiskey?
Yes.
We'll get it. We'll get it for you.
I got it.
You got it?
All right.
Jess is like, this is different.
No, I don't care.
I actually have a question for you, Ben, and I'll try to draw it out to give you time to get back to your seat.
So you have something to look at on the screen other than you walking back and forth. Yeah.
But just from the last, 30 odd minutes that we've been talking, you sound like a very open-minded, introspective, and self-aware person.
Go on.
Very handsome.
Yeah. Attractive.
You're hitting it off.
His clothing choice
Humble.
is just on.
Yeah. Didn't say humble.
Yeah.
Extremely humble.
Just
Did you
radiating
mention good
sexual
looking?
energy. Yeah.
You mentioned you're jealous of his beard.
It is
You
a
do have a
very
good beard,
nice
dude. You do
trimmed
have a good
beard.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm starting to get those grays in slowly.
He's trying.
I've earned them.
It's a little. I call it the little cinnamon sugar.
Oh.
So the salt and pepper.
I like that. I like that.
I have to adapt as a ginger. But anyway, all of those qualities that I've noticed from you.
I love this. I'm coming back here.
Yeah. We're gonna have to do a repeat of this for sure.
How do you translate some of those qualities into the nightlife industry with clubs, bars, lounges? How do you go about that? There's a lot of different perspectives that you see every night from people.
That's really interesting, actually, because as somebody who I know to be like so laid back and so low key, and you're working, we're going off the rails tonight for real.
It's fine.
You work in like a high kind of.
No pun intended. No pun intended. Oh God.
You just held on high for so long, and it became funny to me.
Yeah.
It really wasn't even that long. It was just that.
See, that contact got to her.
Yeah,
That fan did its job.
She about to get a phone call.
Stop it. Oh my God, we're gonna have to go to commercial or my pants. Okay.
Oh shit, I'm about to cry.
I can't remember what I was saying. A high intensity is the word I was trying to go for.
Yeah.
Or like people are on like kind of a different level than you are a lot of times in those environments.
Mm-hmm. And I usually don't drink when I work in nightclubs.
I know. I do want to talk about that a little bit too.
So my whole approach towards hospitality was I'm kind of an empath.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out that really connecting to people and slowing things down in order to be present in the moment with them, whether it's 30 seconds, 2 minutes, and whether I'm looking at a bartender steal from me or I'm looking at my door guy like pushing somebody out the door.
Right.
Try to close all of that out and just focus on the person in front of me for a second, because sometimes in a course of like a year, 52 weekends, you go and have so much contact with one person and you don't even know their last name, really. Mm-hmm. You are best friends, you know their parent died, you know so much about them, but you are not connected you don't know each other really, but you just try to be present. And even as a server, I love that. Like, I stop at a table sometimes, try to feel the table. Sometimes people like you standing around joking with them. Sometimes people are like, get the fuck away from my table. Mm-hmm. Just trying to connect. I realized I made more money if I was connected to my people. Mm-hmm. Now, whether that was my staff or whether it was my customers. Just overall, it was my way of being around people. Mm-hmm. Now, that Does it wear on you? Yeah. Like, and I turn into Larry David when I go home. Like,
being on like that.
I listen to Tom Waits and like smoke weed and
in the dark listening
read
to Crackle.
Noam Chomsky and do weird freaking shit. So, but at the same time, like, it's the best part of the hospitality industry.
Yeah.
The reason I could do a nightclub is because, to me, it was a bunch of single interactions with a bunch of people that a lot of them are humans,
right?
Like drug dealers, hookers, pimps, stockbrokers, investment bankers, cops. They're all at the end. They all want the same things. They just want to be seen, heard, get some ass, make some money,
smoke some grass.
Yeah. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I mean, I think like that actually is interesting because when you put it like that, like you are a very present person when you're talking to you, so that makes a lot of sense. Like I feel like that.
I try sometimes. You know, I'm talking to you and you're telling me about your divorce, and all of a sudden I see a fight break out in the corner and my security going wild, and but yeah, I tried that, and you know, it's a practice. You're not always good at it because sometimes.
Well, it's hard to be on all the time, too.
It is. Yeah. It definitely is. It's definitely like wears on you. That's why full time for us usually is like 4 days a week.
Right.
Because if you did it 7 days a week, you burn out.
There's no way.
Especially in the nightclub world. You know, people are drinking. It's loud. There's sensory overload all around you. People are spitting all over your face.
Right.
Because they're drinking and they're like trying to talk loud and they walk away and you're like drenched in their spit. But you can't be like, hey, man, what are you doing, bro?
Stop spitting on me.
So you're like just sitting there and you just close your one eye and just hope that it's just not a long conversation.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Awesome. I feel like you have like a calming presence when it comes to stuff like that. And you mentioned like you don't drink when you're at work, which this is something I wanted to mention because I think
I have blue dolphins.
So I feel like this is going to sound stupid when I say it, but it's like you told me about how like when people want, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's basically if people want to buy you shots.
You're outing me now in front of everybody.
Well, you brought it up.
No, I'm just kidding.
But that if you would ask them to make you a blue dolphin, right?
Yes.
If they wanted, and it's just water.
It's just water.
Yeah.
Shaken though.
Right. I had never occurred. It had never occurred to me that I could like pretend like I was drinking and not drink at events, because I was kind of hitting that stage where I didn't really want to be drinking at events anymore, or at least like professionally. And but it's uncomfortable in the beginning to be like, I'm not drinking and everybody else is drinking, and then they're like, why not?
Yeah, exactly. Why not?
Yeah.
It's very method.
Yeah. And so that's when I started being like, oh, I would ask the bartender, like, can I have a Coke, but I want it like a drink with some limes in it and stuff. And then I didn't have to answer that question. And now I don't care. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not drinking, and I don't feel weird talking about it or whatever. I don't actually drink that much, contrary to how it probably looks like right now. But I feel like for the podcast, I like to have a few. But when I go to like industry things, it's, I just don't like to be messy, so I don't drink at those things most of the time.
Well, the burden of behavior on us that work in the industry, I feel like is higher than the ones that don't, because we should know better. We're around this all the time. We're around alcohol all the time. We see this all the time, and then usually
and we see the dregs of it. Like we see the bad behavior, and also have like had
but
to
it feels
deal.
So good.
But we had to deal with the ramifications of other people's bad behavior.
Absolutely.
So I don't ever really want to be that person, No. Like that's my feeling.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing to be, because you have a like almost a third dimension perspective of that experience, and then when you're there, and I mentioned earlier, when I get really drunk and overdrink in group settings, I run out of the building and get an Uber and try to get home before people see me, because they're like, this guy's been doing this for 30-some years.
You should know better.
You should know better.
Right.
Like, what's going on over here?
But everybody has an off night where you're like, I just didn't eat enough, or whatever it was didn't hit right. there was a night actually at Tangiers where a friend of mine was in town. It was one friend's 30th birthday. Another friend flew into town from like Australia. Another friend came in from Atlanta, and we had gone out to dinner, and then we went to Tangiers. And part of the problem of this situation was Cassina was there, and she was giving me Jack and Cokes, and they were like doubles, and I was drinking.
I don't think you can accuse my bartenders of over-serving you.
No, not the bartenders, Cassina. It was Cassina's fault. And we left and went to Deja Vu. And I threw up on the patio at Deja Vu. I got kicked out.
Classic move. Classic.
Yeah, that was one of like the last like bender nights I went on. And
How long ago was that?
Oh, God.
2 weeks.
Yeah. It was a few weeks ago. I mean, she was about my age. So it would have probably been like 10 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
My last one was probably January.
I mean, I'm not saying I haven't had a few rough nights, but that was one of the worst ones. Actually, that's not true. I did have one a couple years ago, but it doesn't happen very often. It's like a every 2 year kind of thing for me.
Are you going to touch on that, or you just
the
leave
one
it?
2 years ago?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I did end in me ordering like $70 worth of Taco Bell and then falling asleep before I ate it. So, yeah, that wasn't great.
Love Taco Bell.
But
I do too.
it wasn't me throwing up on the patio at Deja Vu either, so it could have been worse for sure. Horror stories.
When you're conceptualizing like a new space, so like the new one, let's talk a little bit about that. I want to hear more about the new business when it opens. It may or may not be open by the time this is.
Yeah, by the time this airs, depending on when it lands.
Around the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't want to downplay the location. Location has a lot to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, being a part of North Loop, especially the part of North Loop that we're in right now, is like what I like to call the horseshoe of like adult entertainment. It starts with Billy Sushi and that corner with, Berlin and all of that jazz. No pun intended.
Literally, yes.
And then all the way around corner, all the way to Huey and J.D. Hoyt's and Monte Carlo. And I feel like that little, like a Champs-Élysées of Minneapolis.
Champs-Élysées, I love that.
For lack of a better word.
There's a lot over there.
Yeah, a lot going on over there. And it's all like upscale. It's all trendy. It's all a little bit on
I feel like you can do the old school bar hop thing.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Which is, I feel like, wasn't the thing for a while or something. Maybe,
well,
Or,
and if there is you can do a bar hop maybe a little farther down on Washington, but it's a significantly younger crowd, and for just an older crowd that is like, I don't want to use the word sophisticated or palate or whatever, but
because they're not.
But there's a bunch of venues in a row that provide a little panache to Minneapolis, for lack of a better word, and it's just as I mentioned earlier, it's just an honor to be nominated.
Yeah, it's
and
a
be
cool
in that
area.
neighborhood. Yeah, that's a great neighborhood.
I love that area. I mean, obviously, even in the Aria days, like just that area, it was a lot less happening over there during
it used
the
to be
Aria
Skid
days.
Row. Like after Skid Row, when I first started working at the lounge in 1996, that was where the cops would drop off drunks and like heroin addicts would shoot up around there, and it was all warehouses. The old historic Cremette was there, but it was like seedy as hell. Like
Sex World was like I remember driving, like being like at Sex World was like dangerous. Like
going there, it was just not. It was just different, that area. And now North Loop it's
booming,
like thriving.
Yeah.
So it's.
What do you think contributes a lot to that?
I mean,
Targets.
Well, it was cheap real estate once upon a
assuming.
time. It was cheaper real estate
about-
that could
what
be.
it's by the river, and oh man,
Apartments,
I don't want to
apartments,
get, like,
right?
saying. I'm sorry.
Well, even
Apartments?
before the
It was
apartments showed up.
condos in the beginning.
Yeah.
It was just the condos by the river, and the rest of them were kind of like old historic buildings converted into like rentals. Like it was old Cremette, and then there's a brick building right behind it in yellow brick that was really cool. But not a lot there. But even in the like Tangiers was like in the 2016, like 2012 to 2016 time period, and you could see that neighborhood was on and up. The residential was coming in there, and it was just it was on and up and up, and some of that is contributed to the perception of crime in proper downtown, which used to be First Avenue, Hennepin Avenue, where 7 and all, you know where it is. It starts around 11th and then ends around Washington.
Yeah.
Yep. So that strip used to be, when I was in this town, the strip.
It was like the 90s around that, and
90s. I mean, there was a lot of bars,
tons of spots. Right off. Yeah.
So that is no longer perceived as safe.
Right. It's so funny too, because it's so close to North Loop, and North Loop is perceived as like a safe area, and then downtown is not in so many ways. And it's like they're literally like a hop, skip, and a jump.
Perception is reality, and a lot of people, and I have to credit a lot of suburban folks that have nothing to do with downtown to that, because so often on social media you see people like shit talking Minneapolis, and I have lived in Minneapolis since 1992. And I have worked only within the 5-6 block radius, so as you know, my entire adult life in Minneapolis. And it always irks me when I see people shit talking Minneapolis, and I look where they live, and they live in like Waconia, and I'm like, what?
I grew up out that way myself.
What the hell are you talking about my city like that? Like, you don't even know. Like, you came there one day and you lost your phone, and now you're like, we're a horrible city.
Right. You watched that one documentary and decided.
Yeah. It's just perception is like crime. Like, the perception of crime has changed. Yeah. And so,
I would like to maybe just add, back to what I was saying. I didn't mean to say Target Center. I meant to say Target Field.
Yeah, we can. That.
But also, like, there is a gentrification that tends to happen when stadiums tend to get built. Like, that's kind of what's happening back in my old neighborhood where my grandparents live, where Allianz Field was built and everything. Like, that whole area is like changed completely from when I was in college, and it used to be like, don't go over 94 because on that side it's a little sketch. It's cleaner now. It's easy. It's like not cleaner now, but like the perception of crime shifted as well when they built these giant stadiums, because they're just trying to not gentrify, but like it tends to happen.
Well, it brings traffic, helps the businesses around. I mean, it does a lot of positive and some negative. Yeah. So it's
well, like a little bit more upscale place can survive there because there's more foot traffic and stuff too. So you get potentially just better
and we have
businesses
one of the
in the
most
area.
Kick-ass soccer fields in all of.
I've not been yet.
It's awesome. Shame on
you.
The
next,
no, I know.
Shame on you.
June ILEA
They're
program
actually
is
doing
there.
really
you were
good.
telling me something about one
be a
of
good
them.
Minnesotan, be a Fairweather fan. They're doing good this year, so just jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
It's more exciting than baseball. No offense.
Everything is, but
no, it's like watching grass grow. It's like,
it is, yeah. It's not.
I will say,
the coolest.
Soccer,
I appreciate it.
Like, people who are into soccer or football, they're into it.
I literally spell it like that, by the way.
With the U.
Football. With a U and an O.
It's like intense. Like, they're like, I feel like I went there twice. And I remember walking in one time, and I was just, it was insane because they would use black smoke off of, like, there's like a whole section where you only stand.
You should go to a game in Italy.
Oh, yeah.
Or like one of the, like Turkey, or like.
I had tickets to go
Mexico's
to a game in
good.
Barcelona.
Yeah,
I went to the Estadio Azteca there, and
how was your breathing?
It's
pretty up high.
I don't know.
It's like the Mile High Stadium.
I don't know. I was fine.
Okay.
I don't know. It was like 15 years ago. I don't remember anymore. But
what kind of a game?
I mean, a soccer game.
No, but who was
it
playing?
Was. I don't want to say the wrong, because there's like Puerto Rico. Do they have a team?
The country, yes.
I think it was them, because I always like
Mexico?
default to a different country that isn't that they don't have a soccer team. So it was. I don't know who it was exactly. It was so long ago, but my brother would probably remember. But shit's crazy over there.
Yeah,
we almost got like murdered.
You guys did?
Well, like a fight broke out right in front of us, like when the event or the game was done, and my sister almost got like pulled right into the whole mix of
Melee.
It was crazy. And then what's also interesting about how crazy they get, like if you had a belt on, you check your belt at the door. Like you can't,
because they don't want somebody to choke someone out with their
well,
belt.
it's a weapon. Like people
Yeah.
will whip each other.
Well,
People throw their drinks over the edge.
I've never been to any stadiums in Mexico, but Europe is not like that. It's crazy, it's intense, is you know, but the pageantry of the game is beautiful,
Yeah.
but it's very safe.
I mean,
Nice.
it is. I would say though, like probably 20 years ago, like the hooligans in Great Britain were pretty. Like there was a lot of fighting back then.
But that's just British culture.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not the English are like just the only reason it's not like that is because there's more money. Ticket prices for football stadiums in England is more
So
expensive.
the same people can't
So
get in.
those people are no longer going to
Yeah.
games unless they have season tickets through their grandparents and whatever the case may be. But outside of that, the hooliganism and that machismo is just proper British culture. Like that's how they are.
I had tickets to go see a game in Barcelona when I was there, and it got canceled for some reason. I don't remember why. And I
Barcelona.
was so disappointed. I was very sad.
Why?
That I didn't get to go? Or
Oh, you didn't go? Oh,
no, I didn't get to go because it got canceled. I think it was like the weather or something. I don't remember what happened, but it got canceled. Yeah, it did.
To go see Barcelona. They have one of the greatest
stadiums.
football stadiums.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I know. I really want to go back someday and see a game there, but
I've never seen a game there. That would be nice.
yeah, I will.
Have you seen a bullfight?
I you know, can I just be like random and just object to that? The
Yeah.
idea of an animal being tortured to death for my amusement is just horrifies me.
Yeah.
And anybody that watches that for amusement, like a little makes me sus.
Well, it's crazy that they still do it.
That they still do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's culture.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
and I opposed to it. Like they do the bull run as well.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about the bull run.
Yeah, that's too. Like
Yeah,
to
it's
me,
crazy.
like I just love it when I see a bull really get somebody, and I'm like, "Fuck yeah, bull!
It
Good
is
for you!"
cool.
Like I
Hell
hope
yeah.
that dude freaking died for like. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but that's
no,
how I feel about
I think
it.
a lot of people are
Like
rooting for that bull.
why? Like, come on.
I feel
Yeah.
like okay, since we're on random tangent story time, I want.
Do you like movies with gladiators?
No, I think I
Only
want.
if it's Russell Crowe.
I want you to tell the story about Kesha.
Oh God. All right.
You weren't in here, I don't think, when he was telling us earlier
All right.
about this.
Oh, yeah.
Jessica used to run a
Arya. Also,
event center named
Esteban
Arya.
used to be there. So he, after I left, he came on board not long after that,
Yeah,
I think.
actually, you did mention that.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys ever met
and
back then.
I
but-
can't. I think you were still there when this happened, but I'm not sure.
No, I had left when Kesha,
Well-
because I remember hearing about it and being like, I'm glad I'm not there because the glitter sounds terrible.
Well, it was a lot of glitter.
Yeah.
So I am. I listen to like old jazz music and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I'm not always hip to what's hopping at the time with the kids. And I was the Arya Event Center had Kesha there, and I was in the back alley smoking, and we happened to run into some people that were in her band, and they were like, "Hey, you guys have where we can get weed?" And I was like, "Yeah, we'll take care of it." And we went back and rolled some joints or blunts or I don't know, something like that. And we go back there, and they invite me to go to the green room at back there by the bathrooms, and they're smoking and they're all talking. And as we're smoking and talking, everybody kept on obsessing about, hey, did somebody give this to Kesha, or where's Kesha? And I, not knowing what was going on, I just go, who the fuck is Kesha? And I'm sitting on that couch in that room.
Yes.
And at the other end of the couch, this girl leans forward and goes, I'm fucking Kesha, and get the fuck out of my green room. And she fucking, and none of the band guy that invited me there, like, claimed me. They were just, like, looking around, like just
"Yeah,
go.
Get the fuck out, dude.
And I was like, out of there. It was like, it was like my Kesha story.
Yeah, no, I remember very distinctly hearing about the glitter cleanup afterwards and being like, I am not sad to not be there for that one. I did get back. I was backstage for one of the Dave Chappelle shows, because Kelly let me in the back door at one of those.
The after party he threw at Aria?
No, it was when he did the juke joint. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I was just there in the back for.
Is there a film of that? Do you know?
Doubt it. I don't know.
He threw some party over there, some like after party.
Yeah.
After Prince passed away, I think he did that.
I
or
think you're
something.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that. But yeah.
What about that other Dave Chappelle story?
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, that one.
I
I feel like, is he litigious? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But let's just say I owned a bar with a couple of good friends of mine named Tangiers that was right next to there.
Mm-hmm.
And when Chappelle was playing at the Ice House, he came over there and they hung out. And they called us ahead of time and they told us they were coming. And they came in and they had a big hoopla. And they partied. And it was a great night. We had a fun night.
Your phone.
It's my Siri listening to me. No, I don't know what happened.
It's Dave Chappelle's listening.
I'm sitting on it, but I don't know what happened. Yeah. So Chappelle came out there and he smoked menthols in there all night, hung out with the DJ, played some music, popped a bunch of bottles and champagne, and when end of the night gave him the tab. His handler guy was being kind of difficult about it, and it was like, I usually never put customers on social media. I don't take pictures with athletes or anything.
Right. You're
and
very
I don't,
discreet.
Yeah, very discreet. I just want to respect their privacy. If they come to my place and they want to wow out for a night, it's not my place to put them out there on social media and stuff like that. I just don't do that, I think. And I don't like to piggyback off of anybody else's personality. I think the brand should stand on its own. So end of the night, they didn't want to pay their tab. They spent like 10 grand worth of bottles, and then they were like, "Oh, this." His handler was telling me like, "This is Dave Chappelle. He doesn't pay for it." It's like, yeah, he's Dave Chappelle.
Yeah,
like,
he's got the
that's
money.
why he should pay for things.
Exactly.
And you know, to be honest, I shared my philosophy on him. I'm like, I'm not gonna like put this on social media. Yeah. Nobody's taking a picture with him. Like, we're not gonna like tag him or whatever.
Right.
That's your tab. That's what you guys ordered. We're gonna run the card for what it is. And he was like, no problem. Okay, fine, run it. And he didn't serve like we put a 18% auto grad on all kinds of big tabs like that. But he just signed it and put a big zero on any additional tip and signs it, hands it to a server. And as my server receives the bill, Dave turns around. He's like, "Hey, he take care of you?" And the girl opens it and she kind of like implies no. Mm-hmm. And Chappelle like had one of those little backpacks on him, and he like whips it around and unzips it, and out of many takes a stack of a $10,000 stack of like hundreds and eyeballs a chunk and rips it out and hands it to my server and goes, "How about now?" And she was like, "Fuck yeah," and goes about it, and yeah.
I love that.
Smokes another menthol in the fucking VIP, like whatever.
That's awesome.
Good for her.
It was actually good for him.
Yeah, good for him, and good for her for saying no, not really, because I feel like sometimes in those situations you're like, "Oh, it's fine," like whatever, but.
Faye's gangster.
Yeah, she's not fucking around. I
yeah,
love that.
Yeah, to say that to him, like, it's
Not
all
so
right.
much.
Yeah, exactly. And then fucking
Yeah,
fat stack.
No, it was nice. It's actually impressive. Like, Chappelle has been in comedy clubs and stuff since he was like 15, 16. So you can always tell someone who's conscious of people working for a living in a venue. And that was one thing for me that was impressive about him, because a person of his stature, having a good time, being out of town, yada, yada, yada. And, it's not like he was doing anything crazy other than drinking and smoking some menthols. I was actually disappointed. I tried to smoke weed with him, and he told me he wasn't smoking weed at the time. And I was like, fuck.
Like, just today?
Wait, guy?
Chappelle told you he wasn't smoking? Damn.
He did not. He was like, I'm like, the half-baked guy is not going to fucking come to my bar and not smoke with me, but it's all good.
Is he one of the more famous people that's come through one of your spots?
Yeah, I mean,
or like, what's the biggest, one of the bigger names, or some other names? I don't know, just some.
Are we name dropping? Like,
well, just maybe some fun stories.
For Minnesota, like being a manager of there was this nightclub back in the 90s called The Lounge on 2nd Avenue, and we had built a table for Prince that we never sold. It was always closed off with a white sheer. We had a very eccentric, cool Greek man who was the owner of that club, and I worked for him, and he was kind of my mentor. And we kept that table always available for Prince, and provided him a kind of a backdoor treat.
How do you think that came about? Like, is that just something we're like, hey, we're going to do this, and hopefully he shows up?
Glam Slam for Prince in L.A.
Say that again?
The owner of the lounge
gotcha.
used to run a club for Prince in L.A.
Copy.
And Prince brought him here from L.A. to open up a club he opened up on where it's like Slim's now. It was called Glam Slam. And he came here, he opened up that bar for Prince, and he opened up a little boutique nightclub for himself. And Prince loved going there, and he would come there. He used to come with like Carmen and Maite and his ex-wife Maite, and all the time. And it was nice. It was a privilege getting to know that weirdo a little bit, because he's really a weirdo. He's by far one of the stranger people.
Yeah, you see that in a lot of his videos of just like him interacting with other people, even like some of the talk shows he would go on, and it's just like very awkward.
He doesn't look you in the eye. He doesn't like you to look him in the eye. He's very shy. He almost comes across like a shy teenager when you're talking to him. And then he goes on stage and he's like explodes into this musical genius that he was, you know?
Yeah.
And then, but in person, one-on-one, he always, in hindsight, he was a geek.
Oh, yeah.
And who was playing a Superman on stage.
Right. He was a
music geek.
Like, it's an amazing transformation, though, to like, because even in his photography, like you see him in photos and stuff, like he looks super geeky. A lot of his stuff. And
his first band, like when he got famous, he was like a punk rocker.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, a dude who plays most instruments, who spends all his time on a computer doing.
He's shy.
Things.
He's reserved. He was very short. He was probably picked on a lot. Like, you know.
He was a good basketball player, supposedly, from what
I would have hooped with his ass. I would have hooped him up.
Yeah. No, he played at, like, whatever high school he went to in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Like, he actually played basketball in high school.
Purified himself in the lakes, the waters of Lake Minnetonka. That's local.
I hate that movie.
The movie, you mean, I
hate Purple Rain. Yeah. I love the song, hate the movie. Like, I just think it's, like, so... You know what it is when a superstar does something, and like it's just from a movie perspective, it's just poorly done. It's like it's just
it's like Conor McGregor right now in that one Roadhouse movie or whatever. The remake.
I can't believe you put him on the same category.
No, I'm not. I know.
I was like, wait, what are we talking about here? I love it.
It's just something that popped. Yeah.
It's somebody going out of their lane and trying to get into another lane.
Yeah, because like now you read his bio and it's like, he's an actor. Like he did one film, dude.
But I tell you what, some people go out of their lane and they kill it. Like, look at Adam Sandler. Who would have thought he can do drama like he can do drama?
He's great at it.
He's amazing at it because he's so authentic.
Yeah.
And you really like are on a journey with him.
No, he's another baller.
Yeah, he is.
We're going Dwayne The Rock Johnson too.
Huh?
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Not a baller.
Oh, he's not.
He might
going out of his lane. That's what he's
in baller.
His lane was football.
Yeah.
And then he went to WWE. And then he went from WWE to acting.
I mean, that's not. Those are both acting.
He is great. Yeah. I mean, that's like Schwarzenegger too. Like,
I don't know.
Bodybuilder gone into acting. It's kind of cool.
And governor.
And then the
into politics. Right.
That's cool. I mean,
he was actually a great governor. For California, like whether people they made fun of him a lot. He was down the center. He did a lot of good for California. I personally thought his politics was pretty, because he's also a European guy from Austria. So he had a lot of I don't want to use the word socialist and get canceled, but a lot of progressive ideology when it came.
Jess is like canceled.
No, I must.
But he.
We're on the right side now. Finally.
So.
Oh God.
Shout out to Arnold.
Right.
Arnold, get to the chopper.
Yeah.
Fuck, we went deep on this one.
Yeah.
I love that.
When you were saying about Chappelle recognizing like having like worked in clubs and like knowing, so I've got to meet like a handful of celebrities over the years, like at Aria and Machine Shop and different places, and by far the person who personified that the most for me was Garth Brooks.
Oh wow.
He came in, he did a private like fundraiser concert for a charity that he had or has with Troy Aikman, where they built or they still do, I don't know, they called like playgrounds basically in children's hospitals.
Wow.
And so it was like a, ticketed like $5,000 a plate dinner or whatever, and a private concert with him. And he came in, we brought him in the back door, and I offered to like he was carrying one of his guitars, and I was opening the door and I was like, can I get that for you? And he was like, no, I got it. And he's like, I'm Garth. I'm like, no shit. Like, nice to meet you. And then he was like, have you met Miss Yearwood, his wife, Trisha Yearwood? And I was like, I have not had the pleasure. And he wanted to, literally was like, can I meet your staff? And I was like, of course you can. And said hello to everybody, thanked them for being there, thanked them for what they were doing. And to the point where at one point we were walking through the kitchen and he said, he stopped and talked to our dishwasher. Like, he introduced himself to everyone.
Is this Kurt?
Yeah.
Hey, Kurt.
He's got friends in low places.
You know Kurt too? Have you met Kurt?
You've got to know.
I'm sure I do. I'm sure I do.
So he shook his hand and said thank you. And when he was leaving, it was very private. So like, it wasn't out there. Like, a lot of people didn't know he was there, but there was a few fans that somehow knew he was there. And so they were in the back alley, like, to meet him, but we had pulled his van into the back of Aria, so the plan was just to open up the doors, drive out, and he found out there was people out there waiting to see him, and he was like, no, and went out to say hello to them, and then
that's awesome.
Got in the car and left. It was also like one of the that night was like one of the highs and lows of my professional career, because it was amazing to meet Garth, but then there was a couple things that happened that night, one of which was someone who should have known better trying to take photos during sound check, and me having to get chewed out for it because they shouldn't have been doing that, and then trying to sneak in people when they shouldn't have been trying to do it, and I kept having to get like getting just shit for it, which was cool, very cool. And then our security guard team decided to send their the owner of the company wanted to come, because of course it's like Garth Brooks, and we want to put it on our social media and make a big deal.
The owner of the company, what's his name? The guy?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say his name.
I know. Yeah. He doesn't do it anymore, so I don't really care, but also whatever. But this is kind of tangential to what you were saying earlier about people being scared of me, because he kept kind of railroading me all night and interrupting me on the radio and not asking okay, what are we doing next? He was just he decided that night that for whatever reason he was in fucking charge, right? And I was not pleased with that. And at some point I was like, you know what, just do your thing. I'm not gonna fight with you over it in the middle of this whole thing. But I was just ready. I was like, as soon as Garth Brooks is out of the building, here we go. And we went in they walked through the back alley to take him out to the street, follow his car so he gets on the road or whatever. And they're all walking back, patting themselves on the shoulder, great job, let's go. And I go, not you. You and I have to talk. And just reamed him in the back. I was like, who the fuck do you think you are? Because I'm just you don't get to talk all over me. And this is
undermines you as the manager and the person in charge there.
Right. Yeah. And I definitely had a moment where I felt like we were looking at each other face to face, but he was probably a foot taller than me. And I was like, was I standing on a step? Was I levitating? I was so mad. I don't know what was happening.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can almost see a cartoon of you levitating, yelling at this guy. It'd be freaking hilarious. Actually.
Yeah.
Good for you, though. Good for you for standing up for yourself. And in the words of the great Bob De Niro, don't take shit off nobody.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't.
I believe in that.
Yeah. And it was just it's hard enough for me to get respect sometimes from an industry, like it can be a little machismo sometimes with the security guards and stuff like that, you know, and for them to have to report to me.
Are you security guys?
Not most of them, not because but the reason why
I remember your security.
The reason
guys.
why is because I would send away the ones that did not fit into that. Like
if we ever went to war, I would just send Bob over.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I can handle it. I'm good. Oh God. Yeah. We also one time, I don't know if I've told anybody this story, but I was there like on a Sunday afternoon, and I might have told you about this. All of a sudden I was like, what is this noise? I was in my office like working, like nobody was around, building is empty, and I heard all this noise in the back alley. So I came downstairs, and there was a photo video shoot happening in our alley, like right between the two buildings. And it was like suicide girls, the like pinup, like super tattooed, scantily clad gals, and they were doing like a photo video shoot, and they were literally like hanging off the like grates in the back by the door and stuff. Jeez. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing back here?
I totally remember that day.
Yeah. And I think I might have texted you because they were trying to tell me that they had permission to be there.
Because they were topless and all kinds of things, and people in the neighborhood were like so mad at them.
Well, and there was like these 2 women with no clothes on, and then like 40 dudes, and it was just like everything about it felt really uncomfortable and weird. And also, you didn't have permission to be here, right? No. At the end of the day, you can't be taking pictures here. You don't have permission. They're trying to tell me they had permission from the owner of the building, and I was like, which building? And they were like, this one. And I was like, what's his name?
I think they told everybody they had permission from the next building. Because I remember you texting me, and you're like, you give these guys permission to shoot in the alley? I'm like, no. What?
Right. Yeah. So it definitely was like, you need to get the fuck out of here, like right now. And then they were like, okay. And then they just kept going. And then I came back down and I was like, did I fucking stutter? Get out. And I'm like, I will call the cops. Like, I don't have a problem with that. And this guy was ready to like square up with me. And I was like, I don't even care. I was like, you don't know I'm a little crazy. So here we go.
Yeah, I remember that day.
Yeah. But no one had given them permission. They were just being assholes. And they did go away after that.
They did, because they were telling people like, hey, they were telling our people that, the people at ARIA said we could do this. And they were doing the same thing to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Clever, but also not if you're all buddies and friends that you can check in on it.
Was Jet Set open back then?
Yeah.
Because I feel like the Jet Set people were pretty pissed about them too, because they were back there by that, but right around that area.
Yeah, I'm sure they were. Yeah, it was. Yeah, back in the day when it was like Tangiers and ARIA and Jet Set, and then that big old parking lot back there, and like
that back alley was a meeting spot for a lot of people.
Yes.
Have you been to the new Jet Set?
I have not. It's the old
Honey.
Honey. Yeah. I was so sad when Honey closed.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You know, Ava's like 2 floors, and in the lower level we have a tiny little quaint, like old 70s discotheque.
Oh, fun. I'm so excited. So tell us a little bit more about Ava. We should talk about that a little bit. Like, it's okay, so it's 2 levels.
I've really enjoyed this conversation.
This has been really fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had sent Esteban an article explaining Ava and the concept, and it had some renderings in there. Is that sort of what is actually, because I feel like it was a little while ago, so is that what's coming to life?
Yeah, basically. It's very close, and we're
both of you are just like done.
No. I'm not done at all, actually. So it's fairly close. It's a 2-floor concept. Top floor is very comfortable, neighborhoody, really good food, good tapas.
And is it open? It's open 7 days a week.
It's open 7 days a week.
What hours?
More like a lounge from 4 o'clock until 11, and then Fridays and Saturdays a little bit later. Just what I would say a comfortable lounge. Cool. I like to think our designer and myself and team decorated it and made something that it's like a comfortable room to be hanging out, having some drinks, having some foods, having some nosh. And then in the lower level, I have like a vintage old discotheque.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah, just a fun room with room for a DJ and opportunity to get a little bit louder maybe than upstairs, and the how we came about wanting to do this to begin with was having people coming from out of town, coming in town, and as we were talking about it earlier, there is no lack of good food and good dining experience in Minneapolis. There's a lot of good chefs doing a lot of good work, and then maybe even there's might be a quiet, quaint speakeasy that you can maybe spend 10:30 ish, have a cocktail there. But when we would have people, they're like, "Hey, where are we going tonight? Or what's going on tonight?"
Right.
And the only places that we have that are perhaps high energy a little bit for later in the night are designed for a younger crowd.
Yep.
Their target demo is in the early 20s, and
they're usually big.
And yeah. Like even in the North Loop, they're just younger, different kind of, and we have nothing like really elevated that is amongst the crowd that is part of that neighborhood and part of that area that I'm talking about. Then that provides them with anything that it's a little more sophisticated, maybe has more sophisticated sound when it comes to music or whatever the case may be, and open a little bit later, you can go kick your heels off for a little bit.
That's super fun. How big is it?
It's about 4,800 square feet.
Oh, that's not bad. Okay, yeah. It's like not huge, but still feels
what
intimate.
I like to think is a good size for a market like us, Minneapolis market.
Especially if you're thinking of like people who would be going to some of those restaurants that you're referring to that are in the North Loop. Like you go to Demi or you go to, I just totally blanked on the name of the other one.
Well, Mason Margot is there.
Yes.
Gavin has Spoon and Stable
Spoon and
there.
Stable was what I was trying to think of. Yeah.
Danny has Porzana there, and obviously Billy. Like, how can you miss Billy? He's like the loudest person in the room all the time. So like that whole panache, and Monte Carlo is a Minneapolis stable.
Sure.
I would say J.D. Hoyt's is another Minneapolis old-timey stable, and these are all within a 2-3 block radius of us and where we are. And
so you're like, there's people or there's spots for dinner.
Yeah, you can go have a nice elevated dinner.
This is the after
we're
dinner
probably
spot.
a little bit more designed to like host a nice party than like a hotel lobby would be. Not naming names, but
I know one in that hood.
But having maybe like you go there and it might be a little bit too bright, not a good sound, nothing to like bob your head to,
sure, yeah.
And maybe like a little quicker service with a scratch bar. Like we're just trying to be a part of the neighborhood and make something that is not there already.
I think that like kind of elevated and a place to go dance, like I think having a little more of an elevated experience when it comes to that, I think is nice.
Yeah. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to get in there, and like I'm excited about the music as well. We're gonna do everything from jazz and disco, jazz and funk nights to doing international music nights to doing like an open format of like James Brown and all kinds of different style of music, and maybe a little variety of everything from like disco and 1940s all the way to
modern.
Today.
Yeah. Is that open 7 days a week, or is that like weekends only?
No, the discotheque, for lack of a better word, is going to be open probably 3 days a week.
Okay,
we're going to just do it Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Opens up at 10, closes at 2 a.m.
Are you going to be available for people to rent for like special events and stuff on off days?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, bringing it back to the event life side of things.
Look, at least somebody's on point.
Yeah. Thanks for
back,
reeling her back in.
Like, come on, guys. But I think that sounds like an amazing spot for like a 40th birthday party. I would totally have a birthday party there. That
we
sounds
would
like
happy to have your birthday party.
That'd be so fun. I do turn 43 in, well, potentially the week this comes out. I don't know exactly, but I'm
excited. I hope we get to party.
Yeah, actually might have to come through if it's open at the same time.
I'll have a table for you.
Make a note. All right.
Like the Prince thing, which is for Jess.
It'll always be yours.
Always be a table for me.
It'll be a holding reservation for Jess.
Thank you.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see it.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to come see it.
Because like Tangiers had a great vibe.
Yeah.
The one I swear I've only been there one or two times, but it was literally just to pop in for a quick drink on my way home from work or whatever, working at REA when I was still serving, and just a cool vibes. And then so I'm excited to see how this. It's very different, I feel like, than what Tangiers was. Yeah. But the concepts kind of are still similar. Like,
I would say upstairs might be somewhat similar to Tangiers in a sense where we're gonna have food and it's going to be very loungy and comfortable, and a lot of little living rooms for you to get into and hang out, and so I guess Tangiers were two different things to people. Like a lot of people that came there for happy hour and during the day it was one thing, and the people that came there on the weekends and late at night it was a different thing. And I think in this project we've gotten an opportunity to separate that and just have two separate rooms with vibes and different things, so they don't necessarily clash as much. So we have a little bit of both in a different look. So the loungy room looks loungy and feels loungy, and it is loungy. And when we kick our heels up and try to dance a little bit, it looks like something out of Studio 54.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Jessica's just looking at us. She's just having fun with us.
I wanted to just go back a little bit because, like, you'll have a daytime menu because it's a restaurant during the day and most of the days, right? So 7 days a week it's a restaurant.
So more of an evening.
Oh, so like an evening. So a dinner.
Yeah.
Dinner and stuff like that.
Happy hour dinner. Yeah.
But like the food creation aspect, is that something where you have a guy in mind that is going to design something for you, or is that like something you're like, this is what I want the concept? How does the development of like a menu for like a brand new? Because you're designing everything, so like how does that?
Yeah, everything except the food. Okay. I am no. In this case, we have a chef that is helping us out who owns a few restaurants here in town.
Kamal?
Yeah, it's Kamal, and he's got Parcel and Stepchild and Nashville Coop Chicken, and I mean, just a talented young man. He probably will hate me calling him a young man because he's a very established entrepreneur on his own. So, but yeah, just very talented. It's been just a privilege working with him, and he's been amazing. So it makes it very exciting to so I'm excited about that. I'd love to take credit for it, but. Yeah, no.
But I mean, does he like, we're going to get together and I'm going to make some stuff and you're going to taste it and then you decide what you want on the menu? Or is it literally like, dude, just run with it. Here's my concept.
So I would say it's a combination of both, because we have, first of all, he has a very good understanding of what we're trying to do and what I was looking for, and so communicating that so he understands what we're doing. But outside of that, I'm not going to lie to you. I go to Stepchild all the time, and I love his food. I think he's very talented, and he does things slightly outside the box a little bit, and traditional things a little outside the box that I think I always find incredibly creative and
keeps it interesting.
Yeah, keeps it interesting. Yeah. And if I I don't try to micromanage people with pedigree that do what they do well. One of the things that I try to do in industry is try to build a team, and understanding that what I do well is I delegate really well because I'm lazy naturally. So I'm good at being the boss and managing, and also recognizing talent, right? So and I do, and when somebody comes in and you partner up with somebody like him, is like I rather trust the process, and and it's been a working process together, but. Yeah, everything is like he's done has been impressive to me, and I'm not a picky eater either. So, but I know what tastes good to me.
Nice.
I haven't been to Stepchild yet, but it's on my list of places that I really want to go.
It's lovely.
I've heard nothing but good things about it.
It's fantastic. And what I like about it is, and what I like about Kamal is what he does is very boutique.
Mm-hmm.
He really, really cares about ingredients that he puts into his food, and what the product is, and what the guest experience is, and that to me is like something that you can't put a price on that.
I feel like one of the reasons that I thought that it would be fun to have you on here, aside from us just telling a bunch of war stories from the Aria days, was because of that hospitality that I feel like you really nail. Like, Tangiers always felt hospitable, no matter what. Like, all the time. You always felt like you were wanted there and welcomed there. And
that third world feel.
It was just like, no matter what time of day, it always felt like you were welcome there and that people wanted you there. And I think that you really understand that, like, art of hospitality, and what you were saying earlier about like being really locked into that conversation. Like, that is like, that's a real like feeling that people get from you, I think. And
yeah, I think we often, the product obviously has to be the things that I think about is the product good?
Mm-hmm.
Does your pricing provide value? That means if I pay $20 for something, do I leave feeling good about the $20 I spend, or do I feel like I didn't get value and I got ripped off? And then last but not least is how you leave people feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell servers and bartenders when I'm training them is like, we're in the business of making people feel that a certain good. I always, in serving or everything, want to leave the person I come in contact with, exchange energy with, feeling a little bit better than how they were before they came in contact with me. Now, some people are fucking assholes, and you're never going to please them.
Right.
And no matter what you do, they are looking to be unhappy, right? But still, like, I have always pursued an opportunity to, like, go as far as I can go in my process to make somebody's day. I mean, at the end of it, that's what it becomes a lot, because you can make a small gesture to someone, a regular that comes in there all the time, and one night he comes in with like a hot girl that he's trying to impress, and you walk up to him and you make him feel like a rock star, and you buy them a couple of shots, and those 2 shots might cost me a few dollars.
Sure.
But the value, a goodwill value of that amplifying in the universe has always worked for me.
Yeah, it's like that brand loyalty sort of thing. You giving that creates like this relationship between the brand itself, you and that person, and now they are loyal to your space, loyal to you in that way. And like,
it feels great too when you do go to a restaurant repeatedly and they learn you and what you like to drink and the shit you want to eat, and they just start.
Well, you feel seen.
Yeah, they know
you
your
feel
name.
more
Yeah,
than
exactly.
just like a number, just like something that is on a report at the end of the night the manager looks at before they go away. You become a person, and I think in business, no matter what business it is, it's always better when and capitalism doesn't obviously like reward that all the time, but in hospitality we are in a unique niche where we get an opportunity to making people feel good and be rewarded financially. Not that many businesses in America or globally, or not that many for-profit businesses give you that outside of the hospitality.
it's us and strippers.
Yeah, them too. Them too. They're part of the hospitality.
Yeah, true.
I don't moralize with anyone.
Yeah, no, I'm not moralizing at all. They definitely are making people feel happy in exchange for money.
Absolutely. I mean, men have pursued women for money since the beginning of money. Before that, they were running around with goats, like trying to pick up a girl. So it is what it is.
I feel like the hospitality side of things, and this is like, I haven't worked extensively in other markets here, but I feel like in Minnesota, particularly from the perception that I have at least, it matters a lot to people here to feel like seen and welcome, and like it's not as much here about the clout of a specific place. And I can think of a few examples of like people who came into town thinking that like, oh, well, they'll take what we can give them, or they'll take what we've got to offer regardless, because it's just like kind of downgrading, the Midwest or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, no, people aren't going to spend money on this thing that just because you're from the coast or whatever it is. Like, it's not about that.
No, and we're a very homogenous market.
Mm-hmm.
Like Minneapolis is like not. The problem is people that come from bigger cities come from a city where 80,000 tourists land in there, and they're going out and they are begging for places to go to. And Minneapolis is not like that. We don't have. Maybe Convention Center at one time had the clout like that, but post-COVID Minneapolis, we really just don't have that clout. So what it is you better be cheers of whatever it is that you do. So I'm dating myself a little bit, naming cheers. But,
I got the reference.
but you better be cheers of what you do, so, because a lot of repeat business, and a lot of people like coming back.
Who's singing the theme song over there? I can hear you.
That's me. Sorry. Everybody knows your name.
But I mean, that's such a common refrain. I think we've talked about a lot here is like the events industry in general is like extremely relationship based. It's all about like, these people that you work with for 80 hours a week or like Saturday soldiers kind of thing. Yeah. Like you're always together, and it's about those relationships that you form in that way. And
no, yeah, it's like being a foxhole with someone else.
Yeah.
It's like you against the world. Like you go in there. I always say it's like a flash flood. You open the doors and customers come like a flash flood, and you got to hold on so they don't run over you and get the best out of it.
Yeah, I love it. I mean,
Awesome.
This is a relationship that I have been very blessed to have in my life. So I'm so glad that we were forged through fire in the back alleys.
Absolutely.
Exchanging change back there.
You event folks, I respect you guys, because you guys open up a different bar and different club, different lounge every weekend.
Yeah.
And then you break it down, and then you redo it the next day, and then you break it down, redo it the next day. And that to me takes brass balls. I could never do that, because the chaos that you have to be comfortable with in order to be able to constantly be working on something, breaking it down, restarting it. One thing about restaurants is as that flash flood keeps coming and going and keeps it coming and going, it erodes the path. So it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah.
After a while, you just open the door, it comes and it goes, and it's water knows its way.
Yeah.
For lack of a better word, right?
No,
100%.
That makes sense.
But in your business, it's like you're wiping it clean, and a new flash flood comes in the next day.
Flip it on its head.
And that's fucking crazy.
You should come to the property sometime. Come up north with us to the space that we run up north, because it's that, but in the middle of the woods, and it's we're in that process.
To your Illuminati castle you're building.
Just kidding. It's like this time of year you basically have to rebuild it from scratch every year, literally, this venue in the middle of the woods. And we were just talking today about how much mulch do we need to get, and how shoring up things from mice, and just it's on another level, learning how to do it outdoors. It's a whole nother level. So makes me tired just thinking about it.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, you should come up. You'd love it. It's very peaceful.
I love going up north.
It's really peaceful and beautiful.
Yeah. It looks that way.
It is. Yeah.
That's awesome. We can wrap up soon here. Do you want to plug Ava? Is it avampls.com?
Yeah, avampls.com. Sure.
It'll be located
again. We were I don't usually do plugs.
Yeah,
I know.
You are very modest,
I'm
totally, dude.
I'm we are I appreciate that. We are Ava MPLS, and we're excited. We're excited to be part of the neighborhood and get a chance to. I used to be in the North Loop, and then for a while it was. With COVID and everything, it took a while, and I'm excited to just be back in the neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Right in there with all the good people in the neighborhood. Yeah.
It's located right next to Fairgrounds, kind of between Lululemon.
Yeah, between Lululemon and Fairgrounds, yeah. We're
Awesome.
right in there.
Cool.
Easy
Kitty
to
corner
find.
from Mason Margot.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah.
Easy to find.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
thanks so much for coming on. It was awesome having you.
Thank you for having
It's
me.
fun to hang out, get to know you.
Yes.
I feel like we really know
It's
each
been
other
great.
now.
Yeah, we went through it today.
Awesome, man. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching the podcast. Hit the like and follow button to stay updated on our latest episode. If you have ideas of topics or guests you'd like us to interview, drop us a comment, and we'll see you next time.